This section of the handling training will cover handling items in enclosures. Items can be in enclosures for different reasons. For example, because they are fragile, have multiple components, or have been treated by conservation. You'll likely encounter various types of enclosures, some created by conservation and some that are not. These might be ill-fitting, some might also be worn, or made of poor materials like acidic paper or felts. It may be worth flagging these materials to conservation to treat, retrofit, or replace. In other cases, they may be just fine even if they're not technically conservation grade. Especially with larger materials, it can be surprising how much space you need to fully open the enclosure and take out the item, so prepare additional space if you're working with something in an enclosure. We always want to keep items flat if possible. Since some items may only be loosely stored inside the enclosure, they can slide around if they're tilted during transportation. Overall, you want to look out for handling instructions that might be provided on the enclosure. For instance, some oversized boxes can't fit through double doors when kept flat and may indicate one direction they can be tilted. Some enclosures are only meant to fit the item in a specific orientation, so it's a good idea to observe how items are stored in their enclosures before taking them out. Some enclosures may also contain instructions to maintain original order of the items inside. If you're having difficulties taking items out or putting them back in their enclosures, ask Special Collections Public Services staff for help. This also helps them to flag problematic enclosures for conservation to look at. Here are some of the typical enclosures that you might encounter. Flat boxes usually store stacked folders of loose materials or matted items. Manuscript and banker's boxes usually store folders upright instead, and can contain a wide variety of material that may not always be flat paper. Since folders may be unequal weight, you'll want to watch out for boxes tipping over when you take material out. Support the back of the box with weights if this is an issue. Any folders that are removed from the boxes should be marked with a blue card, which can be found in the Special Collections reading room. Likewise, if you take individual items out of folders, mark their place with a blue card. Four flaps and face boxes, which are made of a slightly heavier material than four flaps, are usually used for smaller bound materials or photographs. Cloth-covered clamshell boxes and case makes, which are corrugated clamshell boxes, are often used for bound volumes or matted works on paper. When taking a book out of a clamshell-style box, grip the center of the spine with the flats of your fingers if possible, and avoid digging in with your fingernails. The spine of the book should be facing the open side of the box. When taking folders out of a flat box, reach for the folder from the side of the box that opens. Folders should go into boxes with the folded edge closest to the side that opens, since this is where your hand will reach in to grab the item. This ensures you are grabbing hold of the entire folder. In some collections, you'll find materials stored in mats rather than folders. While this is rare in our collections, they may have come to us this way, or it could be because this is the most appropriate way to store specific material. For example, here are some seaweed specimens from a book that's been treated in the lab. Because they're so fragile and three-dimensional, window mats provide a spacer to keep the specimens from direct contact with anything that might be placed on top. Be careful when taking matted items out of a stack, as they can consist of several layers. It can be tricky to tell in a stack of matted items which piece is attached to what, so lift gently to make sure you're holding onto an entire matted item rather than just one piece of it. You'll also want to be careful not to slip your hand between the mat board and dent or tear collection items that are sandwiched between them. If possible, place the hinged side of the mat towards the open side of the box. Depending on whether we've housed items or they've come this way to us, you'll find different hinging and corner systems to secure items to their support material. Some items may also be adhered directly to the support. It's best to leave items secure to their support, but if you need to turn them over or take them out to look at the back, check first to make sure this is possible with the type of attachment used. Slide a microspatula under the item along the edges gently to check for attachments, as more than one side may be attached. The middle of an edge can be a good place to start. Here is an item attached on one edge with Japanese tissue paper hinges. Part of the hinge is attached to the mat board and part to the item. Often, this allows the item to be turned over. Not all hinges can be turned over. This item has been attached on two edges with Japanese tissue hinges, so there is no access to the back. The hinges on this example have been placed below the edge of the piece so they're less visible, but this doesn't allow the item to turn fully, causing the paper to catch against the window mat as it is turned. Forcing it to turn all the way can cause creases or tears. This piece has also been float mounted, so the edges of the item don't lie under the window mat and can catch onto other things easily. Here are a few different types of corners that might be used by conservation. They allow the item to be secured to the mat without any adhesives. Only try to take items out of the folded paper corners, which open to allow easier access. Watch out for tears or detached hinges when you're trying to turn items over, as these may not be immediately obvious.